The views and opinions expressed by the guest author or speaker during this live session are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Reader's Magnet. The content shared is for informational purposes only and does not constitute endorsement or promotion of any particular belief, ideology, or product.
Every story begins with a dream, a quiet voice inside waiting to be heard. But when that dream meets the right moment, it starts to come alive.
Welcome to the Guadalajara International Book Fair 2025, where passion meets opportunity, where your words take the spotlight and your journey finds its community. A global stage, a chance to rise, a chance to be remembered. Be our next featured author. Be part of something powerful. Come visit us at Stand GG40. Reader's Magnet. We share your story with the world.
Yes, hello, authors, book lovers, and storytellers. Welcome to another session here in Reader's Magnet's featured author interview. My name is Leah, and I am your interviewer for today. And with me is one of the Reader's Magnet's featured author. And today, she will be sharing to us what this book is all about, her as an author, and of course, what inspired her to write this book. So, yes, everyone, let's all welcome our one and only Miss Keri Baskin, author of the book Complete, Living an Abundant Life from the Completion of Christ. Yes, hello, Keri. How are you doing? It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you, Leah.
Yes. So, Keri, this is the moment we've been waiting for because why? It's now time to really know more about your book and, of course, your journey behind it and who you are as an author as well. So, we are very excited. But before we go to more information about your book, Keri, of course, we'd like to know who Miss Keri Baskin is. So, yes, a little bit of self introduction, please.
So I live in Texas, and that's probably pretty evident from my accent. I'm excited
Yes.
to go to visit Frankfurt, Germany, and to just sort of compare our dialects and everything. Anyway, I have lived here my whole life. I have visited other places, but Texas is definitely my home for now. And I have been a writer and author for several years. This is actually my
Wow.
fourth book to publish. It just was released recently. So I'm super excited about it because it's a very different I'd say, kind of a platform for me. I'm used to writing autobiographies. This one is
Mm.
emotional, so it's a little different. It's more interactive, I guess you would say, almost with the reader. And so I'm super excited about promoting it and what all it can benefit the reader. And so, yeah, I'm excited about talking about that further today. I'm also I'm a teacher. Gosh, just all different ages. I've just taught all different ages in just various classes, different things. Personal trainer as well. I've been a business owner. So just I have had my toe in several careers, I guess you would say. But I guess you would sort of maybe put me under the category of a builder. I just love to I love to create. I love to build things. Yes. And just to encourage and to inspire people. That seems to be the revolving theme around everything that I do. So I'm excited to hopefully inspire people today.
Well, thank you so much for that, Kara. And yes, we are that those words that you mentioned earlier. This is also one of the things that we're very excited about because just like what you mentioned earlier, this is a kind of a different platform for you in creating this book, this specific genre of your book. So yes, we are very excited, and thank you so much for that, Carrie. So yes, of course, your a book, complete, living an abundant life from the completion of Christ. So yes, Carrie, will you tell us what this book is all about?
Sure. Okay. So, we have a lot going on in our world right now, in particular, just in fact, in the last week or two. And
Mm-hmm.
my personal belief is that our world is divided because of one reason. And I truly believe that's divided because of our misunderstanding of what divine, genuine, true, authentic love actually is. But
Powerful.
imagine this, imagine you are starting at the finish line of a race. And someone comes up to you and hands you the victory trophy and tells you that you've already won. I mean, you haven't even started the race yet, and you've already been deemed the victor, right? I mean, that's not
Mhm.
kind of
Right, right.
but that's what God's unconditional love has given us from the completion of his son Jesus. That's what he's given us, as given all of us from that completed work. And so my hope is that this book can help guide the reader into understanding more about this divine, authentic, real, pure love, because we've got two different kinds of loves, right? So
Mhm.
we have a real authentic divine love, and then we have a superficial love that we sort of flow in and out of. And
Right.
so to help the reader discover more of what that divine love actually is, and then that's what gives us our true worth and value. Because once we can embrace our true worth and value, and that yes, we are all accepted, okay, now
Mhm.
we can live from that, because that changes how we view ourselves. It changes the love we have for ourselves. And then that causes a ripple effect in how we view others, our relationships with people and our relationships with things changes, because that's the power of divine love. Superficial love won't allow you to do that, not for long anyway. But divine,
Exactly.
endless
Totally
love,
agree.
yes, is transformative, and it changes you spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and behaviorally. And so that's my hope for readers.
Wow, that is so amazing, Carrie. I mean, your book is really advocating a specific cause and agenda, especially that you're talking about this kind of devotional that offers a transformative journey towards understanding that the true, acceptance and love come from a relationship, coming from really, coming from God, and at the same time, rather than focusing on the rules, the differences, it really encouraged the balance of spiritual and the physical, or let's say soulful, lifestyle. Because
Right,
just like what you mentioned earlier, it really incorporates the truth, biblical truth, scientific insights, and at the same time, there are also practical questions. Because this kind of book of yours, Carrie, would really help readers to, I must say, unlearn limiting beliefs. And at the same time to really embrace God's feeling, freeing about the truth and how to pursue the abundant of life rooted in really God's love. I mean, ultimately, Carrie, I must say that this is really like a kind of a guide for them to experience the freedom and fullness they were created for. And that's really amazing. That
And
is such a wonderful message.
I appreciate you saying, picking up on that word, because I wouldn't want someone, a reader, to believe that this is a how-to book, like it's going to be a direct
Mm-hmm.
with rules, with here are a
Mm-hmm.
list of rules that you must follow to be able to achieve this. It really is a guide in
At a guide.
everyone's own personal journey, because when you think
Mm-hmm.
about how we are all on this transformative journey at different paces, then
Right.
it meets you where you are, and it takes you from there. So, and then how you progress is completely up to you and your personal relationship, you
Mm-hmm.
because it is your personal journey.
Right, exactly. Wow. Thank you so much for that, Care. And also, Care, I believe that, your book is really such a successful creation, because I believe that you're also getting a lot of feedback already, positive, feedback coming from your readers. Now, is there any specific, or how about, can you share to us your favorite line from your book?
Yes, actually, this is the first one. I have two. One is the feedback that I get from most of my readers, and then the second one is
Hmm.
a personal favorite of mine. But the first one is that you are perfectly loved and completely accepted just as you are. So that's the first line that seems to resonate with a lot of people. And then,
Wow.
and because that gets me excited too. And then the second one is love is worth it. And honestly, if you knew,
I
like I
like
said
that.
previously, I had written autobiographies before, and they tell of a lot of my backstories. And so if
Mm-hmm.
you knew that about me, if you knew some of my backstories, then what I just said might surprise you, truthfully, because of what I have been through. But to me, that is just telling. It's a testament to the fact of
Mm-hmm.
how have learned to cultivate this trust with God despite my circumstances, and how powerful His love is. And so I wanted to make sure I included that line in there. That love is.
Wow, wow, that's great. And that is so powerful, Carrie. And yes, Carrie, since we're talking about, your past life, your past experience, what's the reason why you started creating this book? Or what inspired you to write this book? How's the journey? When did you started it? Because you mentioned earlier as well that this is some kind of a different platform, a different genre. So how did you
Right.
started it?
It's interesting you ask that, because if when I really am honest with myself and I think about it, I think this really started when I was very little, as far as
Mhm.
the thought processing, because even at a very young age, I can remember being very enthralled with watching people's behavior, and
Mhm.
watching people make the choices that they made, and then the consequences that follow. And you know what? As I'm saying this, that makes me sound like a stalker or a creeper, and I don't mean
You're
I
fine.
don't mean it that way at all. It's sort of like an unbiased scientist, I guess you would say, who's collecting
Mhm.
for learning purposes, and being able to share that information. And so that's where I found myself. And so when I would notice people making choices and then recognize the consequences from those choices, so many times
Mhm.
they would experience guilt and shame because of those consequences. Because of the
Mhm.
choice. And I'm also extremely sensitive to people's emotions. I'm very empathetic, and so guilt and shame are two emotions that really hit me hard. And so it bothers me more than I can express when I observe someone just swallowed up in guilt and shame, feeling like so this is where it's going to make me emotional, feeling like they don't have the value and worth, and that they're not deserving of love, and that they don't have anything that they can offer to this world. And that
Mhm.
bothers me so very much. And so writing, for me, it helps helps fuel that observation that I've made, so that hopefully I can encourage and inspire. So that's the first one. And then the second one I would say is, um, like I said about my autobiographies, when you go through horrific tragedies, uh,
Mm-hmm.
you want to try to make as much sense of it as you can, right? And I don't, because I don't personally want to go through horrible things just for the sake of going through it and saying that I just survived.
Mm-hmm.
I want to
Mm-hmm.
know that there is a deeper meaning and a rich purpose for why I'm going through this, and to try to make as much sense of it as I can. And so for me, writing helps to it helps to formulate all of that, I guess you would say. Um, it helps me to be able to make sense of what it is that I can't see and what I can't understand. So
Mm-hmm.
that definitely, it probably helps to reiterate those two lines that I just said, that knowing that you are
Exactly.
still everything, despite what's going on around you, it's
Mm-hmm.
punishment. You are still perfectly loved and completely accepted just as you are. And love is still worth it if you believe those truths as you're going through those struggles. And
I
so,
like that. So
so
powerful.
writing has helped to just sort of embody that and solidify it for,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And so that's what I
Wow.
to help to convey to others.
Right. That's really amazing, Carrie, because it really inspired you to have that deep desire to really help others experience the the transformative power of God's unconditional love and acceptance.
Right.
Recognizing that many struggles with feelings fully valued and loved for who they truly are, drawing from your own journey and understanding that true worth comes from a relational grace-filled grace-filled God, rather than seeing these material things, the earthly, or let's say yeah, the earthly things that we're experiencing right now, but really the truth, to really have that kind of God's unconditional love and acceptance. This is so powerful, Carrie. Wow, that's amazing. Right. Now also, Carrie, can you describe the main themes or message that your readers can expect from your book?
Sure. So, kind of going back to what the book is all about. I believe that our world is divided because of our misunderstanding of what genuine love actually is. And I think so
Mm-hmm.
often we've been led to believe that, and we've sort of been saying it without directly saying it, that we've been led to believe it's a transactional love. And I don't think it's ever blatantly said, not with a neon sign. But I think if you pay close attention to just our everyday exchanges and conversations,
Mm-hmm.
you can pick up on the fact that you get the sense love is conditional, that it's conditional based on what you say and what you do. So therefore, it becomes something you feel like you have to earn. And, uh, as a teacher, and thinking of the scoring system that you would have to come up with, if we were judging based off of your behavior, and the scoring system
Mm-hmm.
based off of biased opinions, unreliability, unpredictability, our ego, inflated egos sometimes, or our deflated egos, or whatever it is that's causing confusion,
Mm-hmm.
can be confusing. And that's what confusion does. Confusion will have you question your value and your worth constantly. So therefore, you start seeking love and acceptance, like you said, Leah, from those material things, from the outside world, because
Mm-hmm.
what you've been led to believe. And it just creates this
Right.
vicious cycle that we find ourselves in. And so, um, God's love has never been dependent upon our, very often, our frailness, again, our egos, our unpredictable behavior. It's been based off of what He did, what He completed. And
Mm-hmm.
when we can embrace that and embody it more, then then we start to um, then we start to trust. And so really there's two things. There's two main things, I guess you would say, because the first one is what I described of
Mm-hmm.
readers to understand more of what a genuine love is versus a superficial love. And then the second one is trust, learning how to trust. And I kind of laugh at that because that's probably the hardest task. And I think one of the reasons is because we very often want to intermingle love and trust as if they're the same thing. But when you think about it, trust isn't even a prerequisite for love. Love, trust is something that we have
Mm-hmm.
to work for. I have to work towards earning your trust, Leah. You don't even really know me that well yet, and vice versa. And that
Sure.
requires work on our end. Whereas love is a gift. It's just been something
It
that's
is.
given to you that we can live from. And when we recognize that God is trustworthy and that He is for you, He's always been for you, despite what your circumstance looks like. Okay, now we can cultivate that trust towards Him and towards His love He's offering so it can build. And then because it's just going to require going through some messiness, right? It's going to require going through those what I went through, those autobiographies, maybe not as extreme, but it's going to require getting messy as far as facing challenges and struggles that we might try to shy away from. But it's those very
Mm-hmm.
things that can refine us so that we can see what's true. And once we can start doing that, then it changes everything. It does change your view of yourself and the world for sure.
Wow, I really love your book, Carrie. I mean, it really emphasized that God's love is unconditional, and at the same time, it really encourages our readers to move from, merely knowing about God's love to, rather than the rule-based things that we're seeing,
Right.
here on earth, because it's really about, living the abundant life that was created for to encourage someone to experience the joy, acceptance, love, and at the same time, the liberation that comes from truly understanding the divine identity. Wow. That is so amazing, Carrie. Now, lastly, Carrie, before we end our session, Carrie, of course, I would like you to. Is there any message that you'd like to give to our viewers or, of course, your potential book buyers? So go ahead, Carrie.
Well, just expect so many surprises, I guess, in the devotional. I've told you a little sliver of just sort of what the foundation out, but there's just so much more. If you are a person who enjoys really being more introspective and getting down to the nuts and bolts, there are application questions that can help
Mhm,
guide you in thinking because the whole premise is again not teaching you what to think, but it's
mhm,
hopefully help guiding you how to think because that's what God desires from us. He wants this to be our choice in what we choose, whether we're going to choose His divine love or this superficial love. He knows the freedom is found in His love, but it's our choice to be able to make. And so the questions can allow you to do that. There's so many resources, scientific resources, spiritual ones that can guide you along with increasing your mental, your emotional, your physical
mhm,
strength. When I say physical, I think if when people recognize that I am a personal trainer, I think we go straight towards exercising and nutrition. But honestly, that's kind of an extra because when I say physical, I'm really meaning the words that come out of our mouth and our behavior.
mhm.
So there's resources for that as well. And
It
you know,
has a deeper meaning. I like that.
well, from the feedback that I get from this particular devotional, what inspires me is that when I hear people say that when they say thank you for creating a safe space for them that they can be seen and heard and they feel loved and accepted and they feel
Mhm.
hopeful again to reignite their passion and their dreams. Okay, mic drop because that's all I set out to do. So that's extremely fulfilling for me, as an author when I hear things like that.
Wow. Thank you so much for that, Karen. Of course, congratulations for the success of your book, Keri. And yes, for our viewers out there, this is Miss Keri Baskin. And if you'd like to get a copy of her book, yes, of course, that's available on Amazon.com. And also, just to let you know, everyone, that Miss Keri Baskin will be having a book signing this coming October 15 to 19. And that's going to be for the Frankfurt International Book Fair. So, yes, again, Miss Keri Baskin, thank you so much for gracing with us today. Thank you so much for allowing us to be part of your journey. And yes, everyone, this is our author, Miss Keri Baskin, author of the book. State your book title.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yeah, so the book again, that's Complete Living an Abundant Life from the Completion of Christ. Yeah, so that's the book. Thank you so much, Keri. And yes, as we say it here in Reader's Magnet, we share your story with the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.